Hi there and welcome back to chapter 4, lecture number 21. So in the previous video we made changes on the grass variation. So we had areas where there is a lot of grass and some areas where there is less grass. In this lecture we will change the color variation, and we will do that by changing some nodes in the nodes editor for the grass material. So I like to switch to the shading, and we have some real-time input on this window, and we can make adjustments in the node editor. So I like to decrease the amount of nodes to 20,000, 23,000, and yeah, we keep these settings, and we maybe need to lower the hair length, but let's keep it right there. I like to remove the building because I'm going to make a viewport render so we can see the real time coloring. Oh wait, we'll make a render so we can see what is happening. So I will press Ctrl. Oh, we have to enable the screencast again. So Ctrl B, so we have this area selected so we can render it, and we focus on the node. So we can already import the grass, and let's say we click on one strand so we can see the grass right there, and we have one strand selected. So we have the node set up for the grass. So as mentioned, I want to change the color by using the input from the particle system. So we go to Add, Input, and we need particle info. All right. So let's say I want to use a location, and I want to have a vector, a mapping. So we have the coordination, coordinates. Put the location into the vector and add a texture and a Musgrave. So a Musgrave has a certain pattern that we like to use on our grass. So before I go add different values on the Musgrave, I just want to add it. And we want to have add color mix RGB. We disable the input, so we put the main color into the mix. Don't panic if it's a little bit unclear, because I will explain it step by step. So we have the main input, and I want to add a color and brightness and contrast and put it right there and change the value a bit, 0.04. So we have a slightly darker color on the grass, and we duplicate this, and this is the node that will really add a different color on the grass, so a more saturated color. So we go to Add, and we go to Color, UV and Saturation. We put the color into the color and make this 0.44, maybe 0.45, but that will have a huge impact on the color, and lower the saturation to 0.3. And you maybe wonder why 0.3 and why for 0.44. That's because I created this scene and I discovered that these value showed a decent result. It doesn't mean that we will keep it this way, because we will make some test renders. But I like to start with these values because that worked out pretty well. Good. So I want to put the Musgrave texture into the factor and change the color to purple. So you can see the influence by the Musgrave. And if we have some nice variation spots, we will import the grass texture. So we go to Z and render. This will take some time. So take a quick break, take a cup of coffee or something else. So we need to prepare, and we just need to wait. And there we are. And we haven't imported the grass because that's my mistake. We waited so long and I didn't import the mix, so we have to wait again. So I expect that we need to lower the scale and the amount of detail. So as you can see, the influence of the Musgrave is, you can see it over there and over there, but it's very separated. So go for a value of 0.3. Let's start with 0.3. And we have to wait over and over again. Next time we'll import an HDRI with a low resolution, and in the end I will add the high resolution, that for sure. So we won't have to wait all the time. Increase the detail, go for 8. So it will, same as the sphere, when we increase the amount of detail in the material, it will be more sharpening. And I think that's having an impact on the way it looks. And to be honest, I like how it looks. And for example, if you go for a value of 2, it will have too much impact on the looks. But this looks to me very natural. So what we can do, I'll just show you what happens if we use 2. And then what happens is it's not only a certain area, but it's spread all over the place. So I prefer a lower value. So we have green areas, purple areas, and so on. So I will go to scale and go for 0.2 because 0.3 was even too much. So that's why you use this purple color. If I had this saturated color, it wasn't even that visible on the viewport. Now you know exactly where it is, and this looks good. So you import the hue saturation value in the purple, and then it will really blend together well. So what you can do is, and that's what we're going to do, is adding another Musgrave texture and add some brown. Well, it was not really brown, but a slightly different color. And you can see there's the saturated color and the green color. Good. So let's duplicate the texture and go for solid mode. So otherwise it will refresh and refresh again, over and again. And that will slow down our progress on the nodes. Shift G, and I have this different color texture. And you could try this with hue and saturation without adding a new texture, but it was very hard to find this. It was easy to saturate the color, but making it brown was really hard to do. So we use this texture, and we duplicate that one. We put this one in the bottom. We need a new input, a factor input. So we duplicate these, and we're going to change this. And I want to use a different method. I want hybrid multifractal and use a different scale. Let's go for 0.3 for this one, and a detail of 6, and put this into the factor. And that should add you can turn this off and make a render. You can see the influence of this texture. And we need to wait again. We need some elevated music while waiting. That will be very peaceful. I'm so used to this waiting time. It allows me to think about what I want to do in the next part. And yeah, I'm not really rushed, so waiting feels good. So you can see the influence of the brown grass, and let's go for a value of 0.1, something totally different, because it's very I like to see a bit more of the purple. It's just very small. Look at that. This is beautiful. This is what I want. Yeah. So solid, and you import this color texture, and we are now ready to make a new render. But Ctrl-Alt-B to just disable this, go to the viewport display. Remember, in the previous lecture we did a review, and my opinion was that the grass was too tall, so go for a value of 7. We'll lower it a bit. We'll lower it a lot, and go for 110,000. I'll disable this, and 110,000. Good. So import, well, enable the building again. So we will make a new render. Oh, before I forget, left click on the terrain. And I want to add a little bit of subsurface scattering. So go for a 0.1 value and import the brown texture into the color. So this will add a slightly transparent color. Not really transparent, but it will react on the sunlight. So it will I was looking for the word. It will absorb the light a little bit because it's not like a plastic material. Good. So I also like to left click on this terrain, go to the weight paint, and we want to have the mud displacement. Go to this tool set, and on this area it was a little too much. A bit more. I like to make a nice transition. Now it's a really harsh transition. So good. And we can maybe just lower this amount a little bit. All right. Object mode. Go to the viewport, and I think we are ready for a new render. So I hit render, and we do a quick review, and then we end this lecture. All right. Oh, one more thing. Before I hit render, left click on the camera, press G, and see, I like to change the perspective a little bit so we have more visibility on the grass instead of having a very low perspective. Just a quick trial and error process to change the composition a bit. For this we can lower this a little bit to go to 30.5. Alright, that's it. So go for a new render, F12, and pause the video. So here you can see the render result, and now you can see the grass color variation. So we have the saturated grass, the more brownish and original green color. We smoothed out this terrain displacement a bit, so that has huge effect, and there's some absorption going on right now on the terrain. It's just slightly, not a lot, but we will add a reed layer on top of it, so that will have effect as well. So I think I'm going to increase the size a little of the grass and add a bit more color to these grass particles, because in my opinion these are very saturated, because now it's very visible and I want slightly different colors. Alright, this is the end of this lecture, and see you in the next one. We're getting very close. What we will do is adding an atmosphere and making some little adjustments, but we're getting there. So see you soon. Bye bye.